Good afternoon. This is the regular monthly meeting of the Education, Outreach, and Training Committee of the Sunshine Task Force. I'm Sue Cawthon, the chair. To my right is Member Doyle Johnson, and Member Marjorie Ann Williams has been excused. At the table, we have Chris Rustum, our administrator, and our attorney, Mr. Brass. So why don't we just go then to the first item.
Member Cawthon?
Here.
Member Cawthon present. Member Johnson?
Here.
Member Johnson present. Member Williams? Member Williams excused. Madam Chair, there is a quorum.
Okay. Are there any agenda changes?
There are no agenda changes.
Okay. I made some changes to the agenda by hand, but I think that they're all in the final agenda, so then we can just move on to item 1.
Item number 1 is the adoption of September 10, 2009 meeting minutes.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
And I second it. Roll call, please.
Madam Chair, public comment?
Aye.
Public comment. Public comment.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is there any public comment on the minutes of September 10th?
Nobody. Is
No
none.
public comment. Seeing none, then we'll just go to roll call.
On the motion, Member Johnson?
Aye.
Member Johnson, aye. Member Williams? Member Williams excused. Member Cawthon?
Okay.
Member Cawthon, aye. Madam Chair, there are 2 ayes.
Aye. Okay. The motion carries. Then we'll go then to the first item.
Item number 2 is the hearing on the status of the July 28, 2009 order of determination of Ann Grogan against the Police Commission.
Okay, I just have a question. First of all, we have a letter dated October 7th from Lieutenant Joseph Riley, Secretary of the Police Commission. Is that in relation to this item?
Yes, Madam Chair.
And he says he's not able to appear. I just got this because he's out of town. So he says he will follow the requirements of the Sunshine Ordinance when he's notified that a meeting of the steering committee is forthcoming, etc. In any event, is Ms. Grogan here?
She is not present.
She's not here. Well,
I would make a motion to just carry this to the next EOT meeting.
shall we just continue this then? Did you talk to Ms. Grogan?
I have not talked to her, but the reason being, why would you like to carry it on?
You said you did or didn't?
I did not.
Huh?
I did not. I sent
You
her.
did not talk to her.
I sent her a reminder.
You sent her a reminder. Okay.
Maybe by then he would have talked to the steering committee and she might want to withdraw her complaint.
And maybe we'll just continue it, and would you let her know that, would you send her a copy of this letter from Lieutenant Riley and you talk to her and see if this satisfies her, and if it does, we don't have to put it on the agenda for next time. But if there's some reason why she thinks this is not sufficient, then we will put it on the agenda for next time. All right. Then we'll go on to item number 3.
Item number 3 is the hearing on the status of the September 22, 2009 order of determination of Charles Spitz against the Shelter Monitoring Committee.
All right. And Mr. Pitts, I see, is here. So you want to step up in 5 minutes?
Well, I think it was just more of a policy procedure thing. It's just more about not being allowed to speak. I think part of the problem is that the main perpetrator of this violation, I don't think I haven't seen him since. I don't know. I'm still under the impression that he's doing work with the city and county of San Francisco, and I just think that he's not really being held accountable for his actions. I think we need to consider that, and then I think we also need to consider that it seemed like either half or more than half of the Shelter Monitoring Committee don't have their certificates in the Sunshine Ordinance processes and procedures. So I think someone, maybe y'all need to just go down there and talk to them, but I think some of the people just don't know or don't even care about the Sunshine Ordinance. So I think those are some of the things that I'm thinking about.
Mr. Pitts, you were denied public comment at a meeting, is that correct?
That's definitely correct.
And I guess we will hear from, is Ms. Casey here? Yes. Okay, then we'll just hear from Ms. Casey. Are you finished, Mr. Pitts?
I believe as such.
I mean, we'll give you a rebuttal, but we'll hear then from Ms. Casey for 5 minutes, please. You have 5 minutes.
Hello, Chair. As I stated when I appeared before you on September 22nd, the September 2nd Shelter Monitoring Committee meeting, Mr. Pitts attempted to make a public comment and was not allowed to do so by then Chair Quentin Meckie. Again, as I stated September 22nd, committee member Meckie is no longer part of the committee. I was not at the meeting when this happened. Upon learning about it, I immediately sent emails out to all the committee members reminding them about public comment, and then I took the following 6 steps. They were provided a link to the City Attorney's Sunshine Ethics training video. I don't want to misspeak, but because the committee members are committee members and not commissioners, they're not required to complete the training, but I've always encouraged them to do so. I asked them to finish it by October 7th. At this time, 6 of the 11 city members have done so. I also provided them, out of the Good Government Guide, the rights of members of public at public meetings to review. 2 pretty cursed emails went out on September 17th and 25th, reiterating the rights of members of the public to make public comment at committee meetings. Deputy City Attorney Jennifer Williams was scheduled to appear at our meeting yesterday. Unfortunately, she had a court appearance and she was unable to do so. We, all committee members had been provided with the Sunshine and Ethics Training Self-Study Test and asked to review that. In a September 24th email to the Sunshine Task Force, I requested through staff Chris Rustrom that a member of this committee appear at the December 2nd committee committee meeting to provide additional training. I have yet to hear back from the Sunshine Task Force on that item. And then, as the attached agenda shows, the public comment section of the agenda, which talks about how public comment is made on the general part of the agenda, item number 3, and how public comment is taken after action items. Before action items and after discussion items, is now even more clear for both members of the public and committee members. As I stated on September 22nd, I believe the error was due to training, and so we've tried to make sure committee members have all the training that they need.
Good. Well, thank you. This certainly seems to me to be a very complete response. We will call Mr. Pitts for rebuttal, and then I would like to talk to you about coming to your meeting and making a presentation.
Thank you, Chair.
So we'll have Mr. Pitts in rebuttal. Have you read the letter, Mr. Pitts? Have you had a chance to look at it?
I just received it.
You just received it? But basically, she says she's going to take 6 steps. One of them is a training at the next meeting of the Shelter Committee. That she's also informed them of rights of, she's given them a document called Rights of Members of the Public at Public Meetings. That's from the City Attorney's Good Government Guide. She also provided the committee members with a link to the City Attorney's training video. She gave them she sent them emails telling them what the public's rights are and what their what the public comment rights are. Let's see, she's also reformatted the public comment section of the agenda to make everybody very aware of what the rules for public comment is. So, maybe you'd like to look at that more clearly, but it does seem to me that there's been a good response from the Shelter Monitoring Committee.
Well, I can definitely understand that. I think we also definitely need to consider that hopefully we can move a little bit past this one issue, in a sense that there are other things inside the Sunshine Ordinance besides a person's right to speak or not speak during a meeting. So you definitely know what the ordinances are and stuff. So I'm just thinking that hopefully we can see more of the bigger picture or whatever, regarding posting of meetings, when a person is allowed to receive agendas, just that whole big document, just, maybe a Clifton notes of what some of these things in the ordinance says, because I won't tell you that they're violating them, but I will say, they definitely need to know what these things are before they run into a situation before they're caught up again. And I would like for the people of the Shelter Monitoring Committee to also send some type of documentation to the person who was in violation, who actually quite flamingly was in violation. It wasn't like a training issue. He pretty much was more like, I don't care, and I'm going on with the meeting. He didn't care about public comment or anything. He just went on with the meeting.
No, who was that?
This person, Quentin Mackey.
Was that the chair?
Yes.
And is the chair still with the committee?
I think the issue is no, but I just definitely think that he is still interacting with the city on other issues, so that I would appreciate it, as while you're doing these steps as well, that somebody sends him documentation pretty much stating that he can't just do whatever he wants, because he's still doing other things in the city. He ran for mayor. He was a part of he's a part of these different coalitions and all of these other things. So he's still got his foot in city politics. So I'm just thinking, while you come work with the Shelter Monitoring Committee, I'm definitely recommending that you send him a letter to remind him that if he's ever going to work with the city and county of San Francisco and its politics, that he follows the proper rules and regulations of the things that are happening in the city and county of San Francisco.
Okay, have you seen the order of determination that was sent to the Shelter Monitoring Committee?
I don't know.
Well, it says the order of determination was adopted on September 22nd, and the order of determination informs the Shelter Monitoring Committee that the Sunshine Task Force did find that a violation has occurred. Now, Ms. Casey has brought in a letter which states the steps that the committee is taking to assure that public comment is provided in a proper fashion. So what I would like, I briefed it out to you, and Ms. Casey also mentioned it. So why don't you have a look at that, and if that's satisfactory to you, then we can consider the case closed. And I mean, if you want to come to the December 2nd training, I would think that he would be welcome. Is that right, Ms. Casey? Yeah. So, Ms. Casey, why don't you come up?
There's just three items that I wanted to address. The first is the question you just asked. public comment at the Shelter Monitoring Committee are comments made to the committee itself. It's not a Q&A format, so therefore when presenters come, it's not an interactive time for members of the public to ask people who are presenting to the committee questions. We just do not have enough time for that. Mr. Pitts, as is any member of the public, is always welcome to attend any meeting. Unfortunately, because of the format of the meeting, it doesn't allow for Q&A, but I hope that Mr. Pitts will attend the December 2nd meeting. The second issue is, besides my current position with the City and County of San Francisco is an 1822 policy analyst. Before that, for 3 years, I served as a commission secretary. So I am very familiar with all of Sunshine, and I can tell everyone at this board that the only violation that the Shelter Monitoring Committee has had since I have been there since April 2006 is this incident. All documents are sent to the city library, and meeting materials are available 72 hours before. In fact, materials are available 96 hours before meetings because I post on a Friday and our meetings are on Wednesdays. If Mr. Pitts or another member of the public has a specific incident where the committee has violated Sunshine, I'd like to know about that. And the third issue is Mr. Mecki I don't know Mr. Mecki intimately or his work history, but he is not an employee of the City and County of San Francisco. He severed that relationship on September 2nd. And I can't speak for the committee as I am its staff, but I would feel very uncomfortable approaching officers of the committee to send any documentation to a member of the public. Again, as I stated, I wasn't at the September 2nd meeting. I had to leave. There have been errors in judgment before when I was there, and I corrected them. I believe that Mr. Mecki made an error in judgment, misunderstanding when public comment was given.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Why don't you just stay up here for a second? Mr. Pitts, are you satisfied that there's going to be a change at this committee because of the new measures that are adopted that Ms. Casey has put into place?
I can just tell you I hope so.
Okay, well, can we consider... I read this, and it seems to me that a really good faith effort is being made. So what I would recommend is that, you study this when you're in your leisure, and if there's anything that you think you want to say to us, you certainly can say it. But in the meantime, in my opinion, looks to me like... steps have been put in place so that what happened to you won't happen to anybody else or to you again. And Ms. Casey did say you're welcome to come to the training at the December 2nd meeting as well. So what do you think?
I guess we can run with it. Hopefully that they will have them study parts of at least read it a couple of times, the Sunshine Ordinance, because it definitely goes beyond public comment. And
well, I have to tell you something that we've had public comment cases before the Sunshine Task Force before. In fact, one of them involved me, and the agency that was had a violation against them didn't even come to the hearing. And as far as I know, they haven't put anything in place. So, from my own personal perspective, I really think that what's been done by Ms. Casey is a wonderful step in the right direction. But you look at it, look at the letter, and if there's anything that you have to say, inform Mr. Rustum. In the meantime, we'll see you on the 2nd of December.
Okay, I can appreciate that. I just want them.
I can't compete with the Hell's Angels.
Yeah, I can understand. I just hopefully that they can get it right so we don't have to come back.
Okay, Mr. Johnson.
I agree that steps have been made in good faith. I look forward to seeing both of you at December 2nd. And as always, if there's any other complaints in the meantime, anyone in the public has a right to complain.
I encourage them to do so. Thank you.
Ms. Casey, I just wanted to talk to you about December 2nd. I'm just getting out my calendar here. And that's a Wednesday, so I'm just going to put it on my calendar if you tell us when and where.
Wednesday morning, room 421.
What time?
10 a.m.
Okay.
That's when the meeting starts. That would be a new old business item, so it would probably take place around 10:30 or 10:45.
10:30, Shelter Monitoring Committee in room
City Hall 421. 421.
421. Okay, and Ms. Casey, do you have a card with you? Maybe you could
I do.
pass that over to me. And Mr. Rustum also. And Mr. Johnson if he wants one. Why not?
One of my concerns is they're changing their bylaws to change. Could you have her speak on that? They're working on changing their bylaws about when they meet. So I guess I'm a little unsure if they're going to be meeting on the 2nd or some other date. They're definitely changing their bylaws to change their meeting
Ms.
dates.
Casey can answer that question.
Unfortunately, Chair, I can't speak to what the committee will do in the future. I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that the December 2nd meeting is December 2nd, room 421, City Hall, 10 a.m.
Okay, well, we will definitely be there. And could we put this on the agenda for our November meeting just to give everybody a reminder of their assignments and what we'll bring a handout, a little pamphlet that we have, and then we also have a PowerPoint presentation, which we probably won't do, but it does have a lot of pictures and stuff, so we'll bring that and we can follow that as we speak. How much time do we have?
How I can allot you as little as 20 and as much as 45.
20, did you say what?
From anywhere from 20 minutes to 45 minutes.
We'll take the 45
Okay.
with pleasure. We recently spoke to the Mayor's Office of Workforce Development, and would you say we went for an hour at least?
Like an hour
We went
15.
over an hour because they were when we got into the Q&A, everybody wanted to ask a Q, so it got very interesting for them. But can we just say we'll figure it for 45 minutes
Okay.
plus Q&A, or 45 minutes including Q&A?
45 minutes including Q&A.
Okay, well that means we're going to have to.
If you go over, the items that follow you can be adjusted for time.
Okay.
But it's just for the agenda. I like to give members of the public a rough idea of how much time everything's going to take.
Sure. Well, I just wanted to say that, Mr. Johnson, how long do you think our presentation is as opposed to the Q&A?
30 to 45 minutes.
30 to 45 minutes, yeah. And then,
Well, then I'll adjust the agenda to allow 60 minutes.
Great,
And then if
okay.
it goes over, we can.
so I'll figure we'll be there at 10, but we figure we go on around 10:30, 10:45.
And I just want to give you a warning. 421 is a very small room, so it's probably as big as the area you're sitting in. So it'll be kind of tight quarters.
But it's around the corner.
It's
way.
around the corner,
I know
correct.
the room. I've been to meetings. It's not just that small. How many people are in your
There's
committee?
13 people on the commission. So we have a
13?
large table, and then people kind of squish around. We're hopefully going to acquire a larger room at City Hall.
And then how many members of the public come?
It varies, as few as 4, and we've had as many as 35.
Oh, really?
I asked Mr. Rustum to make 35 copies. That's the number of copies that I've been making, and we seem to always have consistently enough.
Okay, can we put all this in the minutes, Mr. Rustum, so we'll know what we're supposed to do? This is great. Well, thank you so
And
much.
then I just have one question, or one request. If it would be possible to have at least 1 or 2 copies in Spanish of any materials that you're going to present. Some of the people who come to our meetings are able to read in Spanish better than English. If you're not unable to do it, that's fine. But if
I know that we were going to translate our brochure into Spanish. Did we get anywhere with that, Mr. Rustum?
It's still in the works, Mr. Mayor. It's still in the works. I have made the request.
The airplanes are I can't hear you. Say it again.
I have made the request, and
Oh,
I'm
okay.
waiting a response.
Okay, so have you asked, who did you ask? New California, New America Media?
New America Media, yes.
Okay. So we've got the request out to do the translation, and we'll keep our fingers crossed. And if you have anybody in mind who does translations, let us know.
Well, I can just have the committee staff, I'll let her know that if people have questions about the materials you cover, they can ask her, and she'll
Great.
translate for them.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Okay. We really appreciate your zeal. Okay, Mr. Pitts, we'll see you on the 2nd of December at 10 o'clock in room 421.
Okay, one more thing too. Your presentation that you'll present, is it possible you can make that available online sometime?
Online?
Yeah, just because you said you had a lot of pictures and text and stuff.
It is online.
Oh, okay.
It is online, yeah. The PowerPoint is online,
Madam Chair,
isn't it?
it is online, but the link has been disconnected because many city departments are moving from one server to another, and so the Sunshine link is also broken. So we're waiting for the city attorney's office to set it up, to get a final place where they want to put it, and then I'll link it back again.
Okay. But we will pass these out at the meeting, and if you wanted to get a copy, I'm sure that Mr. Rustum could fax it to you.
Can you just send me an electric copy? I have my email
Or
address.
if he has electronic copy.
I'll send him a copy.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, Mr. Pitts, and thank you again, Miss Casey. Okay. 12 to 10 a.m., room 421. Mr. Rustum, is that Quentin Meckie? Is that the Meckie she was talking about? Who's the guy?
That's correct.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. And it was Mr. Meckie who was allegedly not permitting public comment?
That is correct.
Okay. And is he still the chair of the Shelter Monitoring Committee?
No, the committee has a new chair and vice chair.
Oh, I see. Okay.
This happened during his last meeting.
Okay. Do you know the new chair's name by any chance?
No, I don't.
Okay. So December 2nd, 10 a.m., room 421, Shelter Monitoring Committee. Yes, and we can discuss the particulars on the
Thank you.
put on November agenda.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
DCA Brass has just indicated that his name is on the latest agenda.
Oh, it is? Okay. All right. Okay, good enough. Then we'll just go on to the next item.
The next item is the Planning Department, Public Library, and Department of Public Works and Sunshine Compliance.
But yeah, I don't even know. Mr. Brass can tell me if I have to. I don't have to recuse myself. I don't think I do. But some people that I work with have been making, and me also have been making sunshine requests of the Planning Department and the Department of Public Works, and we made immediate disclosure requests, and we found that they didn't seem to. The Planning Department in particular doesn't seem to be aware that when someone makes an immediate disclosure request, you have to give them a written response by the end of the next business day. So that was one thing that was happening. Another thing that was happening was that we weren't getting any responses at all. So I just thought, we could just kick it around. I mean, my first thought is, gee, we should go down and give them training, but I don't even know if they want it. But it just does seem to me that the person who's in charge of, the custodian of records at the Planning Department, and to a certain extent at the Department of Public Works, they don't seem to be really aware of, they seem to, the Sunshine Ordinance says you have 10 days. You have a maximum of 10 days. It's not a minimum of 10 days. It also says that, when there is an immediate disclosure request, you need a written response by the end of the next business day.
Right.
So I did send emails to these people saying that the 10-day requirement does not mean you have a 10-day window. You're supposed to provide them without what they call without undue delay, unnecessary delay, and in a period up to 10 days.
Correct. And they seemed unaware of this.
They seem unaware of what the 10 days means.
Now, this case, could it not be a vehicle for bringing up that issue and inquiring as to whether, the level of training they may or may not need? Because I think it would be a perfect excuse, and I don't think you need to recuse yourself unless somehow this experience has, biased you against the agency. But if it hasn't, if it's simply another fact that you're going to take into consideration,
right,
and you do full disclosure, you tell them about this experience and see if they have an issue, because they may bring up the issue as far as whether you need to recuse yourself. If they don't, and they waive it, and they feel you can still be fair and unbiased towards them, I think it would be a perfect excuse to legitimately inquire as to whether some of their personnel need the training. So,
yeah.
I would put it to them as to whether they think that there's a concern. If they waive it, then I think you're clear.
Okay. And then I also noticed that there seems to be a tendency with DPW and to a certain extent the planning department that to consider everything what's known as a voluminous request and take the 14-day extension that the California Public Records Act provides. So then, I encourage people to go back and narrow their focus so that they could focus on what they really wanted. So, I just think that a lot of departments could profit from sunshine training. I don't want to get into a situation where I'm playing both ends against the middle, but I'm always noticing this stuff, and then when I get involved with people who are making sunshine requests for particular reasons, it just seems to me that, it's an opening wedge. What do you think?
Is there a way for us to request they set aside training, some time for us to come in and make a presentation?
I think they should always be open to that.
Instead of just saying you've done something wrong,
right.
Instead of saying we would like to come to you and make a presentation.
Well, I think what happens is that the training gets somewhat stale if it's not practiced. I think, for example, when I joined the office, within the first month, I received the training. But then what happened is that we dealt with, in code enforcement, we deal with a lot of sunshine requests. So we were consistently trained over and over again in a real world context what is required, because we had to comply with the 2 days and within the 10 days and get the extension. So we knew what to do. But if you don't get a lot of requests, and I can't imagine that the planning department, and what is the other agency?
DPW.
DPW doesn't. But in case they don't, or they have personnel where there's some blind spot where they don't get all parts of the ordinance, I think it's appropriate for you to suggest a voluntary compliance, a retraining, a refresher course, especially for new personnel maybe, or personnel who took the training a long time ago and need it.
Okay, will do. Yeah. Okay, and then I think the next item is related to that. What is the next item?
The next item is
department head calendars. Yeah. How to assure compliance. In this same context, a lot of people I know have been requesting the calendar of the city librarian, and they find that he's canceling. He's under fire for a bunch of things right now, and that he's canceling a lot of meetings. He might cancel an entire afternoon's worth of meetings, but he doesn't put anything in his place. So when you look at his calendar, all you see is cancellation after cancellation after cancellation. And then at one point he canceled a meeting, and we found out that he met with the officers of a library commission. But on his calendar, he only put the meeting that he was supposed to go to. He didn't put whom he actually met with. Now, again, without asking if I should recuse myself, how do you handle a case like that? What does the calendar rule mean? Doesn't it mean they're supposed to indicate in their calendar who they're meeting with, how they're spending their time?
That's my instinct, is that they should, but I without drilling down into the ordinance and seeing exactly what it says about that topic, I couldn't answer off the top of my head. But it sounds to me like they can't use it as a pretext to avoid.
I wonder if the Good Government Guide has anything to say about calendar keeping.
Well,
that's a good suggestion. I'll check that out.
If you have a meeting and a passive meeting, you're still supposed to have minutes, and within those minutes, it would indicate who you met with. Am I correct?
That's correct. I know that rule.
What's the rule?
If you have a meeting or even a passive meeting, you have to keep a record. You have minutes of that, and then within those minutes, it would indicate who you had that meeting with.
But I mean, if you're just meeting with somebody in your office.
But yeah,
See, and then if you look at a calendar and you see a whole afternoon's meetings are canceled, and that's all you see, and that happens consistently, and nothing is ever, there's nothing there to indicate to you how that afternoon was spent. It just seems to me that there is a valid question as to whether or not they were sick, or perhaps they didn't do anything. They just worked and studied in their office. But it seems to me, could you look up in I don't have the current Good Government Guide. Chris, could you get me a copy of the current Good Government Guide?
right here.
Would you look up calendars and see what it says? Because as I recall the ordinance, what it says is that the calendars of the mayor and supervisors and department heads are available 3 days after the events have taken place, something like that. But I'm not sure what it says about calendar keeping. I know we once had a case. It was an officer in the fire department. He wasn't the fire chief, but he was a department head in the fire department. And I believe we found that he should have been providing his calendar. So, but we can. Is there an entry at the end saying calendar?
Let's see.
Well. So, Chris, there is a chance of my getting a copy of the current Good Government Guide?
82. Let's see. I got it right.
I'll try, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Can I promise you that?
What does it say?
Department head calendars. It says on the Good Government Guide, page 82, the Sunshine Ordinance requires the mayor, city attorney, and department heads to keep and maintain a daily calendar. City officials must record the time and place of each meeting or event attended, excluding purely personal or social events at which no city business is discussed. For meetings not otherwise publicly recorded, the calendar must include a general statement of the issues discussed. The ordinance does not state that the official must include on the calendar the names or individuals attending the meeting. Administrative Code 67.29-5. 82.
There's also something about canceled meetings on page 95. On page 95, canceling meetings. If a meeting must be canceled, the city must provide notice of the change to the public as soon as reasonably possible. The policy body should post the cancellation at the San Francisco Main Library Government Information Center, at the meeting site, and on the policy's website. If sufficient time permits, the policy body should mail notice of the meeting change to those members of the public who have requested in writing to receive meeting agenda. So,
But this would be not a canceled public meeting or passive meeting, but a canceled meeting with an individual.
Oh, I see. So that may.
That may be in a different category, but it seems to me that if there are meetings scheduled with individuals at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and 4 o'clock, and they're all canceled, and there's no indication of what happened at those times, that we're really not getting.
No, the Sunshine Ordinance, I think under what I just read, indicates that it doesn't have to say who it was, but if it was social or it. But if they talk about city business, it should record generally what the issue was discussed.
Like publicity or
Yeah.
or outreach.
Or outreach.
But doesn't
Just
that
a
say
general
who they-
comment
doesn't
that
have to
says
say who
something.
they met with?
It doesn't have to declare the name.
It doesn't?
If it was, are you looking on page 82?
What is it?
Page 82. The difference between a social and when you discuss city
I may have a
business.
different copy. Let me show you what I have. Here's my page 82.
Oh. Yeah, right.
Maybe you have different years.
Oh, it's right there.
here. That seems to address the issue.
So what does it say again?
You do not have to name the individuals.
You don't have to name the individual.
But you do have to make a general statement.
Right.
But you have to indicate what you talked about? What the,
General statement, it says, I think, on the general issue.
So time and place and general issue.
Time, place, and a statement of general issue, but you don't have to name the individuals.
okay. Okay, well, we certainly, that's certainly a matter of interest, and whether we act on it or not, but I mean, it's just good to know. So Chris, can you get me a copy of the latest good government guide? Yeah. Did you don't have to have it in your office, do you?
No, I don't.
Okay, so maybe you could bring it to the task force meeting for me?
Okay.
Could you? Thank you very much. Okay, well, now we're going to go on to outreach and what's this performance guidelines? EOTC performance guidelines. Did I put that in?
That, Madam Chair, was in your draft agenda.
EOTC performance. What was that?
That was what you had written in the
I
draft
did write
agenda.
that in, and I don't know what I meant. Oh, I know what I meant. When we do our presentations for groups, I just sort of wanted to get your ideas and Marjorie's ideas as to how we could.
Madam Chair, could you please?
Yeah, sorry. After our last meeting before the Mayor's Office of Workforce Development, we had a real quick critique as to how we could improve our performance. And one of the things we thought was that we could less on this is what the ordinance says, and more on the Q&A. The people really seemed to be interested in Q&A, and there were lots of things. For example, the group had, I forget what the issue was. I guess maybe it had to do with the public record. So we told them all about public meetings, or it was vice versa. And I mean, maybe we should tailor our meetings more to what their violation was.
Yes, that's why, like at the last meeting, I brought the complaint against them, but I kept it anonymous so
Right.
that when it came to my time, I was like, well, let's focus on what a complaint was against your office, and that helped.
Yeah, and then
With the Q&A to get it down within our time slot that was available.
yeah, because when we go before the shelter group, 45 minutes is really not that much time. They gave us an hour, I think, at the mayor's.
So to have a copy of the complaint specifically and the order of determination would probably help them with their Q&A and us with our questions of focus answers.
Before we go to we've got it right here. We can just look in the minutes of the agenda of our October 8th meeting. That clearly states. So we should put that on when we talk about the shelter monitoring committee item on the agenda. We could say see October 8th EOTC minutes for background, or background in 10/8 EOTC minutes. Yeah, so everybody will know to just go back and we can review the case in EOTC. Okay. We want to improve every little shining hour, every little shining minute. So now we're going to talk about other outreach. And I know I was supposed to call Central Station and try and set something up, and I didn't. And I know that Marjorie said she was going to call. She was going to call somebody. Weren't you going to call somebody?
I have a list of 4 newspapers and Mission Police. I was out of state at a funeral and had some health issues, but I think I can get those things at least in the initial contact by the next full task force meeting.
Okay.
And if things not listed on the agenda, I might be able to update at that point.
Okay. Because the assignments are in our
Packet.
the assignments are in our current minutes as to who's supposed to do what. And I know that I was supposed to contact the League of Women Voters, and I didn't. So so I'm just going to ask: does anybody have any responses?
Not yet, because I haven't done that.
Okay, and we don't know if Marjorie has because she's not here. So why don't we just continue that one till next time? And the next one is could we read number 7?
Number 7 is the San Francisco Public Utility Commission sunshine procedures.
Okay.
Madam Chair, may I make a suggestion?
Sorry?
May I make a suggestion?
Yeah. Well, you know what I think. I'm going to propose that we do. We've continued this a lot, and we actually have made the changes to the major document. We didn't make the changes to the document that starts on page 37. That's Sunshine Protocols, but it pretty much echoes what comes before. We made the changes to the Sunshine, to the page 33, Sunshine Request Frequently Asked Questions. We made the changes to that. And I believe we made the changes. I believe we started on some of the others, but what I'm going to suggest, just so that we can move this along, is that we send them what we've got done. And I'll look over it and see if there's anything that we didn't tell them that's egregious, but it seems like what we've already worked on covers most of what they need to know. So, Chris, can we put that in the minutes, and then I'll talk to you about the finished document? Follow. What is this? PUC procedures. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to. I'm just trying to remember what meeting we did all those changes. It was about three months ago. So I'll just go back and look in my packet, and then we can just clean it up. And I think you had notes on what we decided.
That is
we
correct.
Can just clean it up and send it along and say, oh, remember this? So okay. So that takes care of that. Is that okay with you, Doyle?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay. And so you can give us the update on the number 8.
Here is the changes to what you had suggested. Is they increased the font as much as they could to 14, and at the bottom 12 point. We were also waiting for permission to use the seal of the City and County of San Francisco, which Mr. Brass has can answer that.
Okay. Yes.
Just so you understand that I did not do the research and that I'm giving you this information secondhand, but I did discuss it with Mr. Threet this morning.
Right.
And in anticipation of his absence today, because he had a conflict in court,
Right.
he briefed me on the issue. So that's my basis for information. His opinion was that given the low amount of money being expended, let me take a break for a second. Coupled with the fact that he anticipated that you would get permission to use the seal, that it wasn't significant enough of an issue to not use it, he would green light or advise you to go ahead and use the seal. However, he would caution that if it was a larger amount, and if there was any issue as to whether you get approval, that then you should err on the side of caution and go through the procedure to get approval for the seal. But something so small as this, the printing of a small number of flyers for a low dollar amount, doesn't really involve much of a chance that there'd be any issue. But I'll let Mr. Threet discuss that with you separately when he arrives, or that you can always talk to him, since he did the actual research on this and since he can flesh that out. If you feel uncomfortable with my summary.
No, I'm happy with your summary because I like to move on things.
Yeah, that's our opinion.
Okay, so I would suggest that this is great. I mean, have you guys seen this? This is wonderful. It's in English and Spanish.
It would be gloss too, and it would be 5,000.
Yeah, we thought we could use that as we have a brochure, but we thought we could also use that as an outreach tool.
Where is the?
The seal will go
where
right
YBR
there
is?
in the green
Oh, I see.
Are we going to have YBR on it?
because that was part of
That
the
was the deal? That they're doing it cheap so they can get a promo?
at cost. Yeah.
Okay, we're doing it at cost, okay. So there's still room for the seal?
Yes, and it's 5,000 flyers that they will pass out until they are gone at city events, which means there are no costs for labor or distribution. So they're
Nope.
being very, very helpful.
They're going to pass them out? Great.
We won't even have to do that.
Okay. So we don't need, can we just move on this? Do we need to take it back to the task force, the full task force, for the final okay? Okay.
And that will give you, Mr. Threed, a chance to chime in, should there be any variance between what he would express on this and what I'm summarizing here.
Okay. So then, could you tell Rick Nee that we want to put this on the agenda for the full task force? And then Jerry can, reiterate what the rule is on the seal, and we can tell them how we want to use it and get the final imprimatur.
Okay, Madam Chair.
All right, good enough. Thank you, Doyle. This is wonderful. And then I think we're going to have to continue number 9.
I agree.
Yeah, so we'll just continue number 9 to next time, and hope everybody remembers their assignments. I wrote them on the agenda so they would remember them. And since we have and number 10 is public comment, I see no public, so I would dispense with public comment. And we'll read number 11.
Number 11 is committee members' comments, questions, and requests for future agenda items.
Does anybody have any? Okay. Is there any further business?
There is a possibility that we might have to call a special task force meeting next month
Why?
because we have a lot of complaints.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So that would be in the beginning
So
of the
that's
month?
just
Well, I'm
heads
glad
up.
we have a lot of complaints. I'm glad we have a lot of business, and I'm not glad that a lot of people are creating the reasons for complaints. Who are they mostly on?
Mr. Alvin X.
Mr. Who?
Alvin
Mr.
X.
Sex? Yeah. Who is he complaining against?
He is complaining about every department that's linked to the stimulus funds.
Really?
He wants to know how many black people are being hired.
Is that right? Oh, boy. So, do we have anything from the from Mr. Warfield? We have 2 of his left over, don't we?
Those are going to the Tuesday CAC meeting.
Yeah. But it's mostly Mr. Sex?
That is correct.
Okay.
And
I would-
also, starting next month, all our recordings will be posted online.
Oh, really?
Wonderful.
That's wonderful.
I have one question. If there's an update on Chair Nee's request for the ad hoc committee requesting 4 people.
Nobody has responded.
Okay.
What's the ad hoc committee?
He wants to reconstitute the school district ad hoc committee.
You're in every committee.
That there is already.
Yeah, right. No rest of the word, exactly. Yeah, so there's any further, I want to thank Mr. Brass for being so charming and nice to come and help us out today. And as always, Mr. Rustum does a wonderful job, and we couldn't do it without him. So by a rising vote, we're in adjournment.